So, what in the story, right? There's a couple teams. There's teams that go out to Asia to study the masters of the air. They go to up in North America to study the masters of the air. And then other teams, they would consist of sometimes 5 people, sometimes only 2, and sometimes, in this case, in this story, 1 person. So we'll figure out where he's at in the geolocation of the Earth. So now we know that this, I believe this was 2067. I made the date for this. So they already studied whales and stuff like that, migration and stuff like that. So they studied the waters, and now they're studying the air, right? So you can see that they're trying to look for the direction and the pattern, right? So always remember that. So in the story, right, there's a spot. Let me see if I can go to it. Here's a good picture. So you see how there's like a pattern, right? So one of the things he sees is that in the jungle is that, so the blue angels, they come in, right? They come in real fast, and then they dive within the jungle. And these things, they're flying at a low altitude. We're talking like at probably like 6-7 feet off the ground, maybe lower. You know what I mean? So they're zigging and zagging different through the jungle. They'll go make a little zigzag that way. And then another curious thing that he sees in the story, one of the character sees, is that one of the birds, they fly around a particular tree. They make a circular, so they circle it, and then they go up the tree. They go up, straight up, out of the jungle, and then disperse, right? So they disperse out into the air, and then they do this type of pattern where like it's almost like a vortex where they spin back into into control. So they go back into their control state, their own pattern, and then one of them flies away. So that's one of the things he needs to study, or he finds out, right? So he sees that the bird flies out, or I have to keep saying the angel comes out, flies, makes its own, and it goes into another pattern. He doesn't know if it made another pattern because this is his first time seeing it. There was reports of it doing this stuff, but this is his first time actually seeing it in person, right? So that's what happens. Now this is where it starts to get serious because it can only do this in a certain season, and this only happens. I think it happens only 3 times, and then you would have to restart back again to the next season. So it's very crucial that you find out what's going on here. But just in case, there is a time where they're a particular time where they are flying. Sometimes like once, what was it? I don't know. I gotta look back at it, but it's hard to catch them flying at these certain times and periods of the day in the pattern. So it's a particular time. It's a particular day. It's a particular, and it's in one season. All right, and also it's in a pattern. So it's like we're seeing like 4 different type of directions and patterns, right? That he has to see. So, so I talked about this. So that see that they're all over the earth, or in different directions. So, as the days get shorter or longer, many changes begin to occur in birds' biochemistry and physiology. So, um, when he does find the I think it was is it called flock of yeah. So that when he does find the angels, he does see Well, I don't know if we should talk about the device yet. So let's whatever. Let's skip this and go to the device. So, or should we stay right here? It depends. So this will make a little bit of sense. We go here for it. So there is a device that he has, right? This device actually records the. It's like a instead of like okay. So the birds are following a blueprint, pretty much, a blueprint, because they know they've been there before, right? He knows they're following a blueprint. So that's like something that the device that he has. That device that he has is almost like a harmonic reader. All right, it's almost like it's giving you information on a language. So harmonic is a type of language. So that's what this is like a handheld device. Um, what else? So how he's able to like understand the pattern is to record it. And you know how like a picture it does like a facial recognition. This device has all it has to do is see it one time, see that pattern one time, see the pattern what they're doing one time. Once they see the pattern, it's able to, and also by the way, it can pinpoint on one bird because this one's important because that one bird goes out by itself. It can pinpoint that one bird, right? And then it can follow its language pretty much. So I know that's kind of like a little bit broad, but I'll put this all make sense because right now I'm just all over the place with this. But it'll make sense as we go through these expanded views of story. But the character does use this to find a language and find the pattern, and you have to record it. So let's look at it. So in the beginning of the story, he does map out where he's at. This isn't those old movies where like, oh, you're gonna get lost in the jungle. Or, no matter how big it is in this time, you're not gonna get lost. You're not gonna none of that stuff. You have to map out where you're at. All right. There is no getting lost. None of that stuff. You have a map. You have geolocations. You have specific areas within the jungle. Okay. So, measuring the heartbeat and respiration of a small conscious animal is important for assessing their health and behavior. But present techniques such as electrocardiogram, ultrasound, and skin contact with animals. These methods can also require surface preparation, cause discomfort and stress animals, and even require anesthetic administration, especially for bird reptiles. Here we show that radio frequency near field coherent censoring can provide a new solution to animal vital sign monitoring while ensuring minimal pain and distress. So that's good. He has these type of devices. So now we can see now he can record the biochemistry of the bird, physiology, right? Because we know he has to know that one of the main things he's trying to figure out is why the blue angel, when it goes out by itself, it makes this pattern throughout the jungle and comes to a particular spot in the jungle. This particular spot is kind of the darkest part of the jungle. pretty dark in there, even though the light out. So it's being covered by a lot of greenery, branches and everything like that. But there's a particular spot where light shines right there. That's where the angel is hovering into control. So, have you ever seen a bird hover on its own? It's rare to see that. I've seen it. I know what's going on though. So, so these instruments pretty much are trying to get him into relation with the bird, right? Trying to see the language of the bird, right? Because he's not going to just straight up go ask a bird, so he has to understand the language first and the patterns and everything like that. So what happens, right, is what happens to him, right? When you try to learn anything, what happens in the story is that when you try to learn something, right, things start happening to you, and whoever's viewing you, right? So you'll see that throughout the story, because like there's things that happen to the viewer, right? And it's called one of the chapters is called a bird's point of view, or was it bird's point of view? Yeah, I think it's bird's point of view, or something, bird's eye view, or something like that. Where the bird notices that he's being, he views that he's seeing the character that's watching him. So now he's self-aware of, just like, if any animal sees you in the jungle, they're self-aware of you. But this takes a little bit higher level. So, and we'll see the things that happen to the character for him to understand the pattern, direction, and language. Because the ultimate goal is to understand why the angel is hovering into control. Once he understands how he's hovering into a control state, that's when, we'll get to the big part of this story, right? Now, I believe that I'm not going to reveal what the conclusion is. So we'll go through it so you have a bigger, expanded view of this book, right? So we'll just go into little things that you probably wouldn't even hear. Like I don't talk about most of this, these definitions and harmonics and stuff like that. I don't talk about that. So when you hear this, you're gonna be like, okay, great. This harmonic, this is what it's made of, and what's it doing, and whatever. So remember, the bird's coming in to the jungle. The angels are coming in. Shoot right down into the jungle at a particular spot. Curve, do all these zigzags and stuff. Circular around a particular tree. Go up the tree. Disperse. And then go back into the control state. Alright? And then one particular bird goes off by itself. You see that? Once it's done hovering, it hovers up, and then leaves. Nobody's ever recorded where it went. So that's another thing, a mission he has to do. He has to figure out where he goes. Does it go back with the other birds? What's going on? So I'm looking real quick. All right, so this is what the angels are functioning off of. As a light source, electromagnetism. It's a type of It's like it's a mechanism. It's a how do you say it? It's a type of you switch on when you switch on your light, and you switch off your light. That's pretty much what's going on. Like, but it's an entire like type of how do you say like when you move your hand, there's a reason why you move your hand up and down, up and down like that. That means it's functioning off a higher source, right? The reason why it's going through the patterns and stuff like that because it's functioning off a blueprint. It's functioning, and it's getting its power or its instructions from a light source, sun, moon, different type of currents, right? So that's important to know. So that this bird, once the character views the bird, it knows that the character has discovered his design, right? And like I said, you'll start to see what happens when somebody else starts to learn the pattern of another person's light source. So no. All right. So in chapter 2, there is a part where he finds the bird, one of the birds, or is he that bird or that this person or another bird? This other bird, it looks like it's injured. And this is after him. He when he was trying to like record the birds and everything, how they swoop down. He was chasing them. You know, you can't. They're too fast, by the way. But remember he has cameras all over the jungle, and he has to record a particular pattern. He falls off a hill portion of the jungle. It was pretty bad. But he comes to find another bird, and it looks like it's injured on the ground. And he was very concerned. He's like, oh, shit, man. Like, how did he fall out of the flock of angels? And the bird was like it was trying to jump up and down. And he comes to it. He sees it. He gets pretty close to it. And this part, he's looking at himself, right? He's looking at himself. The character's looking at himself, and he assesses his own damages, and he sees that he's okay. So he's okay. He just a little bit of bruises and a little bit of swelling, but overall he's okay. So the bird stops chirping. So the character notices that he stopped chirping and stuff like that, right? When that happens, he tries to go and reach for the bird, to see if it has injuries either. Also, that's when the bird flies off already, as if it was nothing, as if it was not hurt or anything. It just flies off. Okay. That was a lot of that was in chapter 2. Yeah. But also, he doesn't have regular clothes on. He has stuff that, like, his clothes, no mosquitoes are going to bite you. Pretty much insects won't go near you because of the type of clothing you have on. Stuff like that. You'll get bit by ants. That's for sure. You're not gonna get bit by anything. Okay. No snake is gonna poison you. Well, the snake can't even get inside of the shoe. Also, the freaking pants can't get through that. But it looks like normal clothing, right? So, make another video. Talk about his, talk about more of the language. We'll go into chapter 3. Chapter 1, I just talked about how how they came down, and I never really talked about how he got there with he got on a plane, Remember that when you read the story, he got on a plane. After he got on a plane, got on like one of those like Jeeps, Wranglers. It was on 33s, I believe. It was kind of lifted, I believe it was. Something that you could drive in a jungle and not crash. Okay, it's something you can go off road with. Yeah, but was it a Jeep? I don't know. I forgot. When you read it, you tell me, was it a Jeep that I put in there, or was it a Tacoma? It was either a Tacoma or a Jeep. I think it was a Tacoma. So, but anyways, yeah, let's go.